Lesson 8-4, use models to multiply two fractions. Solve and share. The art teacher gave each student half a sheet of paper. Then she asked the students to color 1/4 of their piece of paper. What part of the original sheet did the students color? Solve the problem any way you choose. So you could just be really literal and draw a piece of paper. And you could say the teacher gave each student half a sheet of paper. So the student's going to get half a sheet. Then she asked the student to color 1/4 of their paper. So we take their sheet, which is a half, and they're going to color 1/4. So altogether, how much of a sheet of paper do they have colored? So we say she has 1/8. We could take 1/4 times 1/2, and we get 1/8 that way. So you can do it like that. You can also do it on a number line. 0, 1. There's our whole sheet of paper. Each kid was given 1/2. So they're given a half a sheet of paper. On their half sheet of paper, they're told to color 1/4 of it. So what would you call that on a number line? If that's a quarter, that would be an eighth. So you can say they colored 1/8, or they colored 1/8. There's a couple different ways you can do that. And should your answer be less or greater than 1? This is probably one of the most important things that you'll learn in this lesson. Every time you take, it's going to be less than 1. Less than 1. Because you have a fraction of a fraction. So you're always going to have you'll wind up with a smaller piece at the end. So you have a quarter of a half, winds up being an eighth. So you'll always wind up with less than 1, less than 1. Fraction times a fraction, your value will be less than 1. You can't take half of a half and get more than a whole, that kind of a thing. All right, so let's take a look at the next section here. How can you use a model to multiply fractions? So there was a quarter of a pan of lasagna left. That's what we're showing in the picture. And Tom ate 1/3 of that lasagna. The way I prefer is what's called another way here. You can also take your divide one whole into fourths. So they took a whole and divided it into fourths, and then divide each fourth into thirds. And then they can say 12 parts makes a whole, so one part would be 1/12. The other way that I prefer is what they're doing over here. So we're going to take a grid, and we're going to show, we'll show 1/4 this way. And we'll have 1/3 this way. So your answer is in the overlap. Get that? Your answer is right here. And if you're looking at that, it's 4 by 3, 4 times 3. So there's 12 altogether, and we just have 1/12. And you can watch the video on Savvis to help you, to walk you through that as well. And here's another way. So here's my way that I like. So let's take a look at how they divided this. It looks like we've got the fourths over here. Let me get that a little darker there, because it's divided into 4 sections here. And the fifth would be over here. So we're going to do the fifth for the columns, 1/5. And the fourth for the rows, 1/4. And the overlap is 1 out of altogether. You have 5 times 4. So we have altogether 20, 1 out of 20. find 2/3 times 3/4 using a number line. A third way you can do it. So using a number line, 1/3 means 1 of 3 equal parts. So 1/3 of 3/4 is 1/4. So what we do is we say we want 2/3 of 3/4. So we start with 3/4, which is right here. We take that and divide it into thirds. And then we say we want 2/3 of 3/4. So we wind up with 1/2. And if you do it math, 2/3 times 3/4, and just use the numbers. Remember, we multiply the top, multiply the bottom. So we wind up with 6/12, which is equal to 1/2. And in the guided practice, Tina has a half a pan of cornbread left over from a dinner party. She eats half of the leftover part the next night. How much of the whole pan does she eat? So she has a half a pan, and she eats half of a half, and half of a half is a quarter. So if we take it like this, she has half a pan, and she eats half. So the overlap is 1/4. You can do that on the number line. 0, 1, half. So she has a half, and she eats half of a half. So that's 1/4 is what she eats. Lots of different ways to show that. In the example on page 476, find the fraction of a whole pan of lasagna that Tom ate if he started with 7/8 of a pan. So if he starts with 7/8 of a pan, and he ate, I got to go back to the other page, and it's 478. Tom ate a third of that amount. So we'll say 7 times 1 is 7, 8 times 3 is 24. So he would have eaten 7/24 of the pan. Okay, and here's our model. Find 5/6 times 1/2. Well, you can already see they divided the shape. The columns are the half. You can see they took this line, and divided it in half. You can see that half right there. So we're going to shade in a half in that direction, and then they did 6s in the other direction. So we'll pick a different color, and we'll say 5/6 is going to be this whole section here in the rows. So the overlap will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of altogether. 6 times 2 is 12 altogether. So it'll be 5/12 altogether. And then the number 4, find 3/4 of 4/9. 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 9 is 36. We can reduce that. There's the number 12 goes into 12 once and into 36 3 times. So that reduces to 1/3. So there you go.